everyone, and welcome to the Fabric Shop's YouTube channel. My name is Roxanne, and today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite rulers, the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer by New Leaf. It is a great way to help you trim and have accurate half square triangles, and if you've been following me for a while, you know I love half square triangles, and I have been named the Half Square Triangle Queen, or the HST Queen. And so one of the reasons why is because I really love quilts that uses the half square triangle. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Here are the two rulers, and it comes in a pack of two. I'm just going to show you this picture here because I seem to have misplaced my packaging that I got originally when I ordered the rulers. And we do sell these in our shop, and it's called the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer. And this size here, it comes with two sizes, and what they are is the total size, biggest size you can make is a 6.5-inch half square triangle or a 6-inch half square triangle. So the nice thing about this ruler set is that you get one ruler for measuring off your half-inch increment half square triangles and one for your full inch square triangles. So I am going to demonstrate how to use this ruler. For this video, I'm going to show you the half square triangle, but I'm going to use the 2 at a time method. So for this particular half square triangle, I want it to be 4.5 inches before I sew it into my quilt. So what I did is I cut a 5-inch square. I drew a line down the middle, and then on either side of that line, I drew a 1/4 inch away. Okay, one of the tools that I use is this ruler here. It's a quick quarter ruler, and you can line up your diagonal edge there, where this little notch is, right to the corner, and then you line up the other seam that way, and then you can make the lines down the center, that dash line, and then you hold the ruler down and you can use your you can use this on either side. And then for marking, I use the friction pen, which erases with heat. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to come in and pin my triangles together. So one method is you could just put one there like that, or you can come in. The method I prefer is to kind of come in on the corners, and then I'll flip it over and make sure there's no fabric showing. And if it is, it just means I need to kind of, fuss it out a little bit like that. Okay, so that's pretty good. We are going to trim it up. This one's fine as well. So I'm going to go ahead to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew on this line here, on this line here. And then I'll meet you back here, and I'll show you how I cut that in half, and then use these Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer rulers to make half square triangles. Now I've sewn on either side of the line. I flip it over, you can see my stitch lines there. I can trim that off later too, or not worry about it because I am going to trim everything up. Okay, so I'm going to grab my Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer, and I'm going to use the long edge, and I'm going to hold that down and cut that in half. So now I have two half square triangles. Make sure you have a good sharp blade. I'm sitting down while I'm doing this, so that makes a difference as well. So normally what would happen here is we would go to our ironing board, we would press this open, either seams open or seams to the dark side, and then we would get our square edge and we would line up on the bias edge there and trim it according to the size of the block that we want. So for this ruler, you take this ruler, I want it to be 4.5 when it's unfinished, okay? So that in my pattern directions, it says I want it to be 4.5 inches unfinished. And if you look on the ruler, the marking will show you that it says 4-inch finished. So sometimes in your pattern, it'll tell you the unfinished size and the finished size, so you can check. Some patterns will say that it needs to be a 4-inch finished square, half square, or square unit. And so you might go, well, I don't know what that is. But here in this ruler, it's showing you that this is a 4-inch finished square. So typically For an example, I like to make 12-inch blocks, 12-inch finished blocks, and I like to use the 3x3 grid or the 9-patch configuration so that I know that I have 3 blocks going across my 12-inch block. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So then I know, okay, that's the right size of block unit. Okay, so anyway, we're going to do is that, so again, back to the ruler, you have these dotted lines and then kind of like a dark gray line and then a solid line. What we're really focusing on is this dotted line. We want to line up the dotted line to our stitch line. Okay, so when we do that, we line that up there, and my squares are pretty close to being the right size. So what I'm going to do for demonstration purposes is I'm actually going to use this other one first. That is the 4-inch. So here again, showing it's 4-inch, which means it'll be a 3.5-inch finished. Okay, so again, line up the dotted line, and you will line that up there. Hold your ruler down, and you will cut on this side. It's really good if you have one of these rotating mats, because that way you're not cutting towards yourself. So you want to be safe. I'm still holding the ruler down, and there's this notch. And this notch here is the one that's closest to where that dotted line that we're holding our stitch line to. That's the one I want to cut into, okay? So I'm going to hold my ruler down. And again, it's a lot easier if you're standing up to do this. And now I'm going to rotate my mat. So again, I'm making sure nothing's shifted, holding my ruler down, making sure everything's on that dotted line, and then away I go. Okay, so hold your ruler here, or your blade to the edge of the ruler, and then just give it a slide like that. And if you want to shift this a little bit, you can, just to get into that little groove. Okay, and then that cuts away those little side edges, so you don't have to worry about that. And then now, if I'm just going to lightly press that open. I do have my seam roller here, so if you have a seam roller, you can do that. It just kind of helps to flatten out your edge. And there you have your Husqvarna triangle. So let's just put this up to the edge. You can see there's the 4, and then this would be 4. It's 9, but it's 4 by 4. Okay, so that gives you the perfect Husqvarna triangle. I'm going to give it a press. You can see how beautiful it looks while it's pressed. Just get my iron going here, and then you can have a look at that. There's your Husqvarna triangle. And I just want to show you how lovely it looks on the back. If you are pressing your seams open, you can see how the way that you cut those edges off, you don't even see them on the front. Okay, I do need to go back and press this. I don't know if you can see here, I have this little kind of crease that's folding in. That just tells me that I didn't press, very well. So I'm going to bring that back in. And then you see I have my clapper here. So if I put my clapper on top of that seam, that'll help to set the seam. It takes the heat away from the fabric and holds it into the block, and then it gives you this nice, beautiful flat seam. Okay, so then my block's ready to go. All right, so that is a way that you can do that. So again, back to this one here. If I was going, half sizes, I'm going to go 3.5. I could go 4.5. It's just going to be very little tiny bits. So I am going to stand up to do this. So excuse my head if it gets in the camera view. So it's only a little tiny bit. I think if I do like to oversize my blocks to trim them down so I know that they are perfect when I do this. So sometimes, so this is a 5-inch square. I was trying to be frugal with my fabric, but you could go 5.25 just to give you a little bit more trimming room, okay? So again, I'm just going to press that open with my seam ruler. And remember, these are bias edges in the middle. What bias means is very stretchy. So if you pull and tug on those seams in the middle, then it can kind of distort your block unit, okay? So that's kind of what that's just lightly pressed, and then let's just put that up into the corner, and then you can see there's the 4.5-inch mark there, and then the 4.5-inch mark there. Okay, and if we want to use my Creative Grids ruler to show you that. Okay, there we go. So 4.5 by 4.5. Okay, so you get that nice, perfect ruler, perfect half square triangles. The thing that I like about this ruler the most is it saves that one step. So instead of going back to my ironing board, press it open, then I have to come over here and go trim, because normally we would trim it this way, turn it around, trim it this way. So you're saving that time because you're trimming it before you press it. Okay, so that is the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer Ruler, and this is trimmer A, trimmer B, and like I said, they do, let me just put my fabric here so you can see them a bit better. They do come in a set of 2, and we do have them in the shop, and I will put a link in the description below. Well, thank you for joining me today to learn about the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer Ruler. I will add the link to our shop in the description below. Thanks for joining, and please be sure to like our video, click subscribe so you can find out when our next video will be going. Thanks so much, and have a great day.